Hi everyone, welcome to the second webinar for today. Today I have with me Saeed, who's come all the way from Detroit to do this webinar in person. Saeed is a class 27 fellow serving in Detroit at Launch Good. His background is in marketing. He's a marketing professional. And he's also a fellow from
Palestine.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you going to stick to Palestine now?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's changed that in the past quite a lot of times. Okay, great. So today Saeed is going to be talking about crowdfunding, and it's going to be a TEDx style thing. He didn't want to do a presentation. He just wanted to have a chance to talk to the audience. So if you have any questions, as you know, you're more than welcome to write to him, and he will be more than willing to answer those for you.
Where the questions would go?
So it's not alive, so they'll email those to you later, and then you can answer them. All right. So thank you, and over to you, Sai.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Saeed Hassan, and I work in marketing, and I work with a company called Launch Good, and we're basically like GoFundMe with the crowdfunding platform of the Muslim community. We help Muslims and around the world to raise funds for different initiatives and different programs that they have. And today I'm going to talk to you about like how to create a crowdfunding campaign and how to use it. So I don't know if you can ask me a question while I'm talking. If you can, please ask me like any question that you have. So a crowdfunding is basically a new way with the shared economy, like with people talking about shared economy, or like Airbnb, Uber, and a lot of like the new companies, like where people can help each other to build something, or you can help another person to host them in your house and stuff like that. So there is a need of people who wants to be funded for their projects or their initiatives. That's why like they created the crowdfunding, where you can go to the crowd and they can fund your projects or your initiative or even your cause, and you can raise money and do whatever you want. So crowdfunding is basically like you build a good story and you reach out to the community and you try to convince them with your story so they can fund this story, or they can give you money so you can build your initiative or reach your goals. But it's the simplest way of like crowdfunding is building like a really great story. That's the number one step. Instead of like the normal method of raising funds where you talk to only one organization or a bank or one institute, here you're talking to the masses. You're talking to thousands of people. You're trying to convince them that your story is really good, your initiative is really worth it, and they have like to give you money so you can start your project or your initiative, or even like complete your studies or join a program or anything that you want. So your story should be great. And when we talk about story, so story has a lot of elements to it. One of the best elements of the crowdfunding platform is the visuals. Because we live like, right now we're living in a very fast moving world. People don't have like a lot of time to read a lot of text, and they keep browsing the internet. And on the crowdfunding platforms, like usually a platform would have 2,000 to 5,000 like campaigns going live at the same time. So people are just browsing between campaigns. Sorry. One of the things that can attract people to your campaign is the visuals that you have. Either it's a great photo or a great video that explains the whole campaign and what you want to do and how you're trying to raise funds and what you're going to do with funds. Doing great visual is a great step towards this. If you want like inspiration about like great videos, there is a website called Kickstarter, and there is a website called Indiegogo.com, and you can always go to LaunchGood as well. And if you need anything about like how to do a video, how to build a story, and how to construct a story, I'll be like happy to answer you and help you and review your videos. So each video should have like main 3 elements. One of them is the introduction, where you introduction like the people, you introduction the initiative, you introduce the problem, and the second thing is the problem, where you introduce the problem and you show people like what is the problem, and the third part is the solution. So that's the basic 3 elements of any video. So when you construct a story, you have to introduce the people who are working on it, the problem they're trying to solve, and how the money will solve this problem, the solution for this problem. That's a good video. And it should be like short, it should be like between 2 and 5 minutes. That should be like fine, and it should cope with the normal lifestyle of the people that they're browsing the internet and they might see your campaign. The second thing is to write a good story with good visuals, and you convince people what you want to do with the money. So let's say like you're doing a crowdfunding campaign to maybe like go to college, or maybe like I've done a crowdfunding campaign, so I campaigned the office that I used to work in, because we've had like a big co-working space in Gaza, and it was new and we needed to bring it to life. So we did a crowdfunding campaign for $15,000, which was successful, and we wanted to do like the paint job for the whole office. So our story was like introducing us as individuals, and introducing the office, talking about like why painting is so important. And on the third part, we were talking about like how the money would be spent. Like when you give us money, how we would spend it exactly. Like we will spend this amount of money on paint job, we'll spend this amount of money as salaries to people and stuff like this. So this is like a good story where people can know, like, can know you, can trust you. And the second thing, they can relate to the problem, make it personal, make them like relate to it. And the third thing, they would be like confident that the money would go to good causes and a good thing, where you explain how the money would be spent. So, and it has to be realistic. Like, you can't say like, I'm going to help everybody in Africa to get water and I'm raising like $10,000. It doesn't make sense. So it needs to be realistic. So you need to break down like the money, how it's going to be spent. The other thing that you have to worry about is when you write a story, you have to write an executive summary, like a short paragraph that captures the whole story. Because people are like, as we said, like the lifestyle is very quick, it's moving very fast, and you need like to deliver your message the quickest way you can. So the video is good, like an executive summary that is one paragraph at the beginning of the campaign for quick readers, just says like in like 1 minute, if you read it, you will understand everything. And if you want to go to details, you can scroll down and read the whole story. So it's not only the story, but also the executive summary, the visuals, and the videos. So that's the first step of like thinking about a crowdfunding campaign, is building a great story. Once you have a great story, you want to make sure like people will buy into this story and people will start supporting you. And most of the people have like this strong assumption that when they launch a GoFundMe campaign or an Indiegogo campaign, people will come from all over the world and they just like give you money. And it doesn't happen like this, because there is a lot of elements that restrict you from being shown to the rest of the community of Indiegogo, Kickstarter, or whatever like website of you're using to raise funds. So one of the things that we advise everybody to have is like people would commit to 30% of your campaign even before you launch it. So you have to reach out to your friends, network, professionals, like all the people that you know, and you have to convince them to commit to 30% of the funding that you're raising through this crowdfunding platform, through this crowdfunding campaign, and then start your campaign. So once you start your campaign, you will get like 30% of the funds directed to your campaign, which will show like your campaign has traction, and it will be trending on the website, and people will see it from outside of your network. Traditionally, campaigns raise around like 20 to 30% of it's like all of the money that they're raising from the crowd of the websites, people who don't know anything about you. They just regularly go to Indiegogo or LaunchGood or GoFundMe, and they found your campaign and they were like convinced with what you're saying, and they give you money. That's about like 20 to 30%. The rest is like basically your network and how good you're reaching out to people who you know, or people you know like they're interested in certain campaigns that you do. So in reaching out to people, you have to break people into groups. So there is the people who have like the money, which is like wealthy people. Like if you're working in an organization, you will meet a lot of people who like they have money, they don't mind like to spend it. They're looking for places where they can believe in causes that they want to support. So there is the people with the money, there is the people with the voice, like where you find like influencers, like if your organizations work with certain kind of causes, for each cause, like there is an influencers which have like a huge social capital, they have like huge social followers, and this social following would would be like people who will fund your campaign if this influencer speaks out or like tries to spread the word about your campaign. So you have to contact people with money, you have to contact people with influence, and you have to convince them that they need to be recruited in your campaign and they need to talk about your campaign and to give and to commit to it. And then those people would get you to complete your funding. So that's basically like the two things that you can do. There is a lot of ways that you can reach out to people. Like not all of the people that are influencers you should know. But before you launch your campaign, once you have the story, once you have like everything prepared, now you have to categorize. Like, okay, I'm working, for example, on entrepreneurship. And since I'm working on entrepreneurship, I need to have like, and I'm trying to raise funds, for example, to build an accelerator or to have like build an incubation program, or maybe like host a hackathon in my organization, but I don't have like 5,000 or 10,000. I want to raise it from the community. So that's a goal. When we're talking about like money with people with money, we will talk like about CEOs of like tech companies, famous like people who are working in tech companies who have like wealth and they love to sponsor and support like such projects. And on the other hand, we find influencers, people who keep talking about like entrepreneurship on Twitter, for example, or Instagram or like Facebook, and they have like a good social following, and those people might be like journalists who are like, you might go to famous like portals like TechCrunch or Mashable or whatever, like big like portal, and you find like the journalists who work in your area or like interested in the stuff that you're doing with entrepreneurship, and to try to convince them to be like a spokesperson or try to promote your campaign once it's launched. And once you have a commitment, then you have like influence. But it's not hard to recruit people, but people usually forget this and they start to recruit people after the campaign is launched. And after the campaign is launched, it's really hard to build the momentum because you have to build it before. So people would see like a lot of people are supporting you and they will start like supporting your campaign and giving you like more funds. But this is basically like how you recruit people. So you make sure like that 30% is pledged before the campaign even starts. So when it starts within the first like 2 days, people will give you like 30% of the amount you're raising, and then you will start be featuring and stuff. The other part is sometimes like you can do Facebook advertising and maybe like paid online advertising for your campaign. And for us, like this, for experience and working with a lot of campaigns, this have been like really good. The return on the money you spend on Facebook for advertising for your campaign, if you advertise it for the right audience, can be around like between like 10x to 70x. So for every dollar you spend on Facebook, you'll get $70 of donation, which is really huge, and people love to give to initiatives that they relate to. And you will collect like people would give like from $10, and some people will go like to $40,000, $50,000 in one transaction, and they will support campaigns. And it's easy if you do like all your homework and all your prep work. It should be like really easy to launch a crowdfunding campaign and do it. Another trick that people use with crowdfunding campaigns, that they start with a low goal. Like if I want to raise like 50,000, I will start with a 10,000. And once I reach the 10,000, I will stretch my goal to go to like 30,000, and I will introduce something new that I want to do with this initiative. And people will become like more interested, and they will become more connected to the campaign, and will try to help you. And then you can stretch it to 50,000 and reach your goal. And the other misconception people have, like if you throw a crowdfunding campaign and you didn't raise like your full goal, you didn't raise like if you're raising 10,000 and you only raise like 7,000. People think like you won't get the money, but like that's like a misconception. Only Kickstarter doesn't give you the money, but like other websites and other platforms, you can take partial funding. So if you reach like 70%, you can still use the 70% that you've raised, and you can still build something with it. So online advertising and online ads and promoting your campaign is really helpful. Stretching your goals is really helpful. One other advice, like there is something on the crowdfunding campaigns that we call perks, and when somebody is like trying to give to your campaign, you try to convince them that you will send them something in return. It shouldn't be like fancy, it shouldn't be like expensive. It can be like just a thank you note, or if we were trying, like for example, to build the hackathon, we will send you like pictures, we will send you like a signed t-shirt, people will sign it for you if you like give us like $500, for example. And you can choose perks that is is nice, it has a meaning, but it's not expensive and doesn't harm you. And that way people will become more encouraged to give more. So if I give $10, I will get a thank you note. If I give like $50, I'll get like the t-shirt with the logo of the hackathon or something, or the program I'm doing. But perks is really good. You have to search also for a lot of crowdfunding campaigns on the websites like Indiegogo, LaunchGood, GoFundMe, or Kickstarter, and learn from them, and learn how they're building their story, how they're reaching to the influencers, and how they're doing their ads, and that's can be like a great inspiration for you, so you can do your own thing. And another thing with the crowdfunding campaign, so you're raising funds over a period of time. It can be like 30 days, or it can be like 60 days. You have to remember to keep like updating your crowd. So when people give to your campaign, you will see, like, if I give at the beginning, you were raising like 50,000, I give when we're like at 0, and I give like 100, and then I get busy with other stuff. It's good like when you reach like 20,000, or like when you reach like 40% or 50%, to send an update saying like, oh, thank you for your commitment to our campaign. We've got like, we're now at 50%. We can now build this, or we can do this with the money, and without you, it wouldn't happen. So those updates will encourage me like to share your campaign with my network, and maybe you'll get like more funding. Like keep updating your crowd is really important for you as a crowd as a campaign creator. I would also love like if you have like any question, anything about like crowdfunding campaigns or anything, to ask me. Like I'm really willing to help in that.
Thank you.
And now we'll start.
Well, I told him that he could close this down on his own, but thank you once again for sharing with us about your experience regarding crowdfunding, and I hope you all had a great learning experience. Thank you, guys. See you at the next webinar. Bye.